Prelims 2021 is nearing. Do you want to know the important current affairs topics from each subject? Please watch this video.
In this year's budget, that is budget 21-22, the finance minister have introduced a new cess, that is agricultural infrastructure and development cess. So the basic aim of this cess is to create a special fund for developing agricultural infrastructure. Okay. So what the finance minister have done, the finance minister have imposed this cess on nearly 29 products. So this is a very important point to note down. Okay. So finance minister have introduced this cess on nearly 29 products, basically on customs duty as well as on excise duty. So out of this 29 products, 25 products nearly which are products which we import, to that this cess was introduced, and the remaining 4 items is basically on petrol and diesel, that is branded and unbranded petrol and branded and unbranded diesel. So without impacting the consumer, this cess have been introduced. That means what the finance minister have done is, she has reduced the customs duty or excise duty on these products, and it has been offset by this cess. So in reality, the impact of the consumer is neutral, but the government will have a special fund for development of agricultural infrastructure. So other than this topic, what is this agricultural infrastructure and development cess and how this cess is raised, what you need to know is the importance of cess. You know that cess, it says in simple terms, cess is basically imposed on a tax. So we can say that it is a tax on a tax. It cannot be remain independent. It has to be related with some tax. So here it is either on customs duty or on excise duty it has been imposed. And one important point to note down regarding the cess is that it is not going to divisible pool. So one core point to note down is that this cess which the central government collects is need not to distribute with the state government. The central government can use this entire fund for this particular special purpose. Here it is agricultural infrastructure and development. Like this, we will be covering all the important economic topics in our Current Affair Plus. Thank you.
Everyone knows about the Bharat Stage 6 norms, right? Like that, we also have another norm called as CAFE 2 norms, Corporate Average Fuel Efficiency Norms. As of now, these CAFE 2 norms are set to come into effect in 2022. But it may change because recently the auto industry has requested the government to change it because of the impact of lockdown measures. So that's why it was in news. So these CAFE standards were first notified in 2017 by the Union Ministry of Power under the Energy Conservation Act 2001. And this CAFE 2 norms aims at lowering the fuel consumption or improving the fuel efficiency of the vehicles by lowering the carbon dioxide emissions. Thereby, it helps in reducing the dependency on oil for fuel, and also it helps to reduce or control the pollution. So the idea of CAFE norms is to push the manufacturers to achieve the fuel efficiency targets by producing and selling more fuel efficient models, including the electric vehicles. So these kind of important environmental science topics, current affairs topics for the UPSC exam will be covered in our Current Affairs Plus program, CAP sessions.
Every year, UPSC would ask at least one question from climate change. This has been the pattern for the recent few years. Similarly, for this year's prelims examination, one sun, one world, one grid is a very important topic which is an initiative. This is an initiative by India to create a global ecosystem which interconnects South Asia with West Asia and Africa with India at the center. This will be distributing the global renewable energy resources, mainly the solar. Like this, many other topics are covered through the Current Affairs Plus program.
RTPCR and the rapid antigen test. 2 tests which are being used by the government of India and almost all the state governments in India to determine if an individual actually has the COVID virus or not. So what are these 2 tests and what are the basic differences? This is very important from your UPSC perspective. Coming and talking about the first one, which is the RTPCR test, which also stands for Reverse Transcription Polymerase Chain Reaction Test. This test is basically a gene-based test. When I say a gene-based test, I basically mean this test is trying to determine the presence of the virus by actually finding out the genetic RNA of the virus within an individual. Coming to the next one, which is the rapid antigen test. Before we go into the rapid antigen test, you have to know the meaning of the word antigen. Any external material, whether it be a virus, a pathogen, or the proteins produced by the pathogen, all of that, once it enters the body, becomes an antigen, and to fight against that antigen, the body produces antibodies. Now, when you come to the rapid antigen test, consider a person who actually has the COVID virus inside them. The virus by nature will produce certain proteins or enzymes which will act as an antigen to the body. The rapid antigen test basically tries to determine or tries to find out this particular antigen in the body. So this is the basic difference between RT-PCR and rapid antigen test. One searches for the virus by literally finding out the genetic material of the virus, and the other tries to find the virus by looking for the products or the enzymes produced by the virus. The RT-PCR takes a longer period of time to actually detect the virus. It takes about 5 to 8 hours to come out with the result. But the rapid antigen test is very, very quick, and that is why it is called the rapid antigen test in the first place. It only takes 30 minutes. So these are the basic differences between the rapid antigen and the RT-PCR test. To know more about such topics from science and technology for your UPSC 2021 prelims examination, please come and join our CAP 2021 program. Thank you.